The Producer Spotlight with Mr.Instro.
You can be a beat maker and not be a music producer. But when you're a music producer, you don't have to be a beat maker.
Only on the element. I think I'm going to sing throughout the show. I think that's what I've decided is the vibe for today. It's just gone 1:15. I think I'm happy because everybody is in the stew. Shout out to Mr.Instro. You're going to be hearing him a whole lot now, bringing you the producer spotlight. Shout out to Just Chules handling the social media, and shout out to Tepo Buerta handling the videography. Wednesday, and we wouldn't be able to start the producer spotlight if I don't say Mr.Instro is here.
I am here.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Apparently, I'm happy. I don't really know what caused it, but this is where we are.
It's the last week of Feb. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, can I tell you why that matters? Because my birthday's in March, guys.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there. 15 March is where it's at. But until we get there, it's time for us to get into the producer spotlight. I'm going to do a very quick intro.
Yes.
And then Mr.Instro is going to come through and let us know why this particular producer matters. So, with over 2 decades in hip-hop under his belt, the Alchemist is widely recognized as one of the greatest producers of his generation.
Yes.
Initially was an aspiring rapper. I think that seems to be the general thing with a lot of producers, starting out wanting to rap and then later on really finding your pockets and being the dope producers that you are.
And he still raps, by the way. He still raps,
but eventually focusing on the production. Right? Grew up in Beverly Hills in California and learned how to make beats by DJ Muggs.
Cheese boy.
Right. So credits go as far back as 1996.
Yes.
Including Fat Joe, Bishop Lamont, Rick Ross, Action Bronson, B.O.B., La Coca Nostra, Lil Wayne, and so much more.
Yes.
Why?
I loved it.
Why?
Yo, that was a brilliant synopsis.
Yes, I think I deserve some air horns. I'm actually going to give myself the air
give
horns.
yourself.
Yes, because I earned it. Also for my singing. Okay, back to the meat.
Yes,
Mr. Instro, what we doing and why?
Okay, so today we're covering the Alchemist, and he's definitely one of those producers that aren't as popular just in the scheme of things when you're talking about mainstream music. A lot of people know his work, but a lot of people aren't really familiar with him as like a producer,
right?
And I have to say that I discovered Alchemist very late.
Really?
Okay.
Very late for who you are and what you do?
Exactly.
Or in comparison to when he first was out?
In comparison to what I do.
Right,
It's quite embarrassing, but I have to I have to come clean. I have to tell you guys that this song that just played now, Worst Comes to Worst, Dilated Peoples, that's the first time I got introduced to Alchemist. 2001. And the guy had been working since 96.
Super early.
But I mean, I wasn't always exposed to the kind of sound that was there.
Right.
And it was the perfect time, around that time for me. I was like early high school time.
In
2001, early high school. We were just starting high school. I know.
I just want to put it out. I was 11.
It's okay. I mean, maturity doesn't
doesn't always go with age.
Yeah, it doesn't depend on age. So
2001.
2001, I was beginning to fall in love with hip hop and what it stood for, and people like Alchemist were just coming out the scene and making some really, really dope stuff. I mean, he's had like a good run ever since. Like, he's one of the producers that are actually still here, that are still making music now. And I'll tell you, it's interesting because he doesn't generally make music for like MTV, like those, like commercial, like, it is commercial, but it's not like we're trying to get on TikTok and get everybody to dance,
challenge.
That kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know, which wouldn't actually be a bad idea. But you know, he's always been underground in inverted commas,
right?
And I love that about him and his persona, and it's particularly interesting because we don't have that here in SA, right? The people that have the same sort of like character, who have the same sort of spirit,
right,
all have day jobs. They they have other things that they're doing, you know, and it's a beautiful thing for people like Alchemist to, you know, have the sound that they have, but still in a way, you know, make some sort of a living from it, and
right.
And you know, just come out the way they come out.
I think you're so right, and I think especially when you mention the fact that, you know, he's been here for so long as well, and to still be in a position, especially with all the different changes that have happened in life in general, but also as far as hip hop is concerned, it could have been very easy for him to kind of slip into the cracks and, like you're saying, end up having a different kind of day job. But for him to have been here for so long and been here throughout all these different developments in the sound, in the space, in the culture, and still be as relevant is pretty dope.
It is pretty dope. I mean, another good thing about Alchemist is the fact that he's very well respected.
Yes.
You know, he's always been consistent. He's worked with everybody, and I say this every single week that if you have good relations,
that's true,
you always have work. You know, if you have good relationship with people, you always have something to do.
That is very true. I think people really do underestimate the value of the relationships that you have. And also a conversation that you and I have had like offline and just chatting about our own things, that for me in this current position, having transitioned from being a print journalist to now being on air, the reason why even just early on when I started doing my show and some people didn't know me was like, yo, how is she pulling these people? But it's because I had such good relationships with them or their management when I was still a print journalist, that when I pick up the phone now, it's not like, yo, what is this?
What's going on?
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously your work kind of precedes you, you know what I mean?
True.
Like the kind of work that you do will definitely reach the right places if it's honest and if it touches people in one way or another.
That's very true.
Know?
There's a saying that says that your reputation is going to get there before you do.
Amen. Amen. And
Back to Alchemist, right?
Yes, and he's it's important to mention that he's a DJ Muggs, the legendary West Coast DJ Muggs protege.
Yes.
He's pretty much the guy that kind of taught Alchemist how to, you know, find his way around the boards.
Yes.
It's also important to mention that he's not necessarily like Just Blaze, for instance. Just Blaze is technically trained as you know, as a producer and as an engineer. Alchemist kind of uses his ears, and
that's incredible.
He relies a lot on the power of his ears and the technicality of his ears. There's one interview where he actually says that he actually learned, you know, terms like quantize and all of that much later.
Oh wow.
in his process of making music. And I think many of us can relate to that process, because once you get that software on your computer, once you get that MPC, once you get that drum machine, all you care about is pressing those different
things.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call them the things.
The things, yeah. All you care about is pressing those buttons, and somehow you find yourself creating some magic.
Yeah.
You know, and he's always been the kind of guy to always consistently, you know, create that kind of magic. Another interesting story about him is that he tends to play around his beats for other producers, right?
Okay.
Please, guys, it's so important to have relationships with your peers, especially when you guys are producers, because technology, software, things like that, drum kits, those things are forever developing,
right?
You know, so it's so important to keep yourself informed, to keep yourself in the know, with the help of your peers.
Right.
It's so important.
I think we can speak about the relationship with him and DJ Premier.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So his relationship with, he once played him a beat and he was so scared of playing it for him because it had a clap. Apparently, DJ Premier is very specific about like the kind of snare you use. So he was very nervous about doing that. And then he finally played it for him. And DJ Premier is quoted saying, I could actually rap to this,
Oh, wow.
So always play your music to your peers. You never know what you could learn. Sometimes you could listen to a beat and think it's not great,
right?
And then someone else hears it and goes, yo, this is actually dope.
That's true.
So that's something to learn. That's something to grasp. Like, have relationships with other guys that are gonna help you to move and to progress and to grow as a producer.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's this concept that I've always been super interested in, because I definitely engage in the one and I don't necessarily engage in the other.
Yes.
And I'm interested to know from a producer and from our producer that we're looking at, kind of the thinking around it and the concept behind it. There are times where you make beats with the intention of having an Azizer singing on it.
Yes.
But then there are times where you make beats for the beat itself to just be
a beat,
consumed as the beat.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Man, it's such a beautiful question, because Alchemist is one of the producers that like sample heavily. And sometimes when you sample a lot, it kind of overpowers what an artist would do on on your music. So it's very important to keep in mind what you're producing for at that time. In fact, sometimes it just happens that you're making an instrumental and you already hear the artist, so you leave some space. You leave some space for it. But generally, it's important, right? It's very important to know when a beat is full. They describe it as like overcooking it.
Okay, yes.
Right? Don't overcook beats, unless if the whole point is for you to listen to the beat.
Right.
Do you understand? Don't go, like, learn the difference between a beat that needs an artist and a beat that's just for listening pleasure. It's so important. And Alchemist is one of the people that kind of like, they find the sweet spot for that. When you listen to the first song we played, Book of Rhymes, that beat is perfect for rapping. It's you don't even have to have a subject.
Right.
All you want to do is rap, because it has so much space.
Right.
And obviously when you listen to people like your Dillas, you'll find a lot of instrumental music where it's like, actually, this is fine as it is.
This is dope just as it is.
Just as it is.
Right.
Yeah. So key, very, very key. Learn how to make space. If you're producing to make songs, learn how to make space in your music.
All right, that's super dope. So we've got 2 minutes to go before we hit 1:30, and Akoli comes through with our quick news update. So I'm very interested, because sometimes when you're listening to artists, for instance, you can tell, like, if I came out and I was rapping in a particular way, you can tell, okay, she's got influences from this person, she's got influences from this person. Now, as somebody who is obviously super well versed in the production space, can you pick those kinds of things up from newer producers? Can you go, okay, Aziza the producer definitely was influenced by Instro?
Yes.
So,
man.
As far as Alchemist, who, when you listen to, can you hear that he's had some kind of influence on the way that they produce?
There's so many people that I personally can have like a conversation with, and they'll mention Alchemist as their top 5 producers, right? He's really like your, I don't know, like your undiscovered gem, but now these people like are the people of the moment, Griselda. If you listen to a lot of Griselda music, you'll understand. I mean, he is also like, he has produced a lot of stuff for West Side Gun, Conway, everybody, right? But that sound
Right.
generally.
Yeah.
If we were to actually just dissect it, we'll get to learn that a lot of the influence comes from Alchemist. You
Right.
know, the kind of sound that he has kind of moves freely in the Griselda record space.
Huh.
Yeah.
That is super, super, super interesting. All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Instro. I've actually learned quite a lot.
Already,
as I always
guys.
do. Already, guys. Already, Mr. Instro.
Hi.
Basically, every week, it's me and you.
Hi.
Every week, it's me and you.
Today I'm sad 'cause I actually wanted to say a bit more about him, but please, guys, if you're looking for sample heavy, soulful, and like, you know, beats that represent an era, you know, Alchemist is your guy. That's the guy to look out for.
That's the guy to look out for.
Yeah.
It's just gone 1:30. Xoli is here and on standby and ready to give us our quick news update, because Mr. Instro doesn't realize how dope the producer spotlight is, and that's why it goes by so quickly. So Xoli's going to give us a quick news update, and then I'm going to let you know exactly what we're getting into just after that.
The Producer Spotlight with Mr. Instro.
You can be a beat maker and not be a music producer. But when you're a music producer, you don't have to be a beat maker.
Only on the Alchemist.